Welcome back to the Heart of Giving. This segment we have an organization that doesn't meet daily. It has projects yearly, but it takes almost a year to get the projects together. And I'm going to introduce first Pete Glazer, because he's been involved since early 1990s, 97 or something, 96. And then he will introduce Marianne. And so Pete, I'm going to stop with you first because I've known you for a long time.
Yes.
And the first time I met you, you were involved, and I was mayor, you were talking about, you were involved with Christmas in April.
Yes. Yes, Christmas in April was an organization a nonprofit organization, or precursor, the name to what we have right now. It started, I believe, in the early 70s and somewhere in Texas, where a group of folks in the community fixed up a house for a lady. She was in need of serious repairs, and it happened to be the fourth Saturday in April, and when it was all done, she said, "I'm so happy, this is just like Christmas in April."
And it got its
and
name.
that was the name, and it built, and to this day we have about 200 affiliates across the country, individual affiliates.
And did they all change their name?
Well, most of them did. It was around 2002 that they had issues with trying to identify Christmas in April, because they didn't have anything to do with Christmas, and with what organization did, fixing up houses for people. And so they voted across the country to change the name, and I think there might be one of them that still kept the name.
And it is now called?
Rebuilding Together.
That's right.
And it's Rebuilding Together Long Beach, Rebuilding Together Oakland, or Sacramento, all individual affiliates. And so that was around 2002.
And what is Rebuilding Long Beach?
Well, Rebuilding Together Long Beach is, the way I like to explain it is, we're kind of like Habitat, only we fix up houses for people that are already living there instead of building new houses for new people. And actually, I believe our impact is larger than Habitat for Humanity, because with over 200 affiliates across the country and all this work done, Marianne will know more about the statistics of what we do. I'm more on the construction side, being a contractor. We have an enormous impact by fixing up so many houses, and it's free labor.
Right, when is it done? In April?
Well, we do it the last Saturday of April is a National Rebuilding Day. All across the country, we perform these services, and it's just that one Saturday.
Okay, but you get your supplies, you get your members from where?
Correct. Well, we also do another day, and we paired with National Make a Difference Day in October. We do a Rebuild Day, but all year long we plan for this. There's a group of board of directors and committee members that write grants. We seek donations from suppliers. As a contractor, I do work with a lot of suppliers, and we look for donated materials or reduced materials, and then the labor is free. Now, we have a large contingency of people who want to, through churches and organizations, want to volunteer, more of the less skilled in companies. And then we have the trade industry and in the trades that will donate their labor to do the more skilled work.
So skilled labor, people that can clean out things.
Yeah.
And
paint.
And paint, and I've seen some of them where they take all the stuff, the crud out of the garden and change that. And this is 2 times a year.
Yes.
And how many volunteers are there really on that day?
Well, we've had as many as 800 on a day come out. The last few years, probably from 150 to 350 in that range. And that's a big that's a lot of organizing to do.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Would you like to introduce the lady that organizes all those people?
This is Marianne Rose. I'm a past board member, past president. My time had come to pass the torch to a new group of people, and Marianne is our fearless leader. She's doing very well. She's been our president for 2 terms now, I believe.
And what do you do, Marianne?
Thanks, Beverly. So part of what I love about our organization is that it is all volunteer-based. So all of this work that Pete's talking about is done by people who are members of the Long Beach community who just want to come out and help their neighbors in some way. And so part of my role is to make sure that we have a place for every type of volunteer. So anyone who has any type of skill, it can be someone with extreme skilled labor and construction background like Pete, or it can be someone who wants to come out and work the check-in, or who wants to be responsible for the food that day with our
Or paint.
volunteers, or do some painting. We do yard clearing. It can be anything. We always have a spot for our volunteers. So one of my roles is making sure our volunteers are energized and excited and feel like they're making a great contribution. And then the other is working with the committee members and the board members to really identify people in need in our community. In 2012, the average household income of our recipients was $22,000 a year. And for those of us who live in Long Beach, if you can imagine trying to build a life on $22,000 a year, you don't think about things like your plumbing or your roof, or that you need a wheelchair ramp, but you're just going to get by without it. So our organization is great to have people who want to do those things for our neighbors. So that's another role I think that is really important.
Just an example, I can remember being at one lady's house that you were helping years and years ago, and the flooring had come out of her bathroom, and it was hard for her to get to the bathroom because of that, and she had no hot water in her sink. And I still remember, you know, how thrilled she was when someone came in and took care of the floor, and she didn't have to worry anymore, and had hot water, and people that haven't got
The
water.
basic
And
things.
so the basic things you fix, and it's really so heartwarming to be part of that. How do you find the homes that are necessary repair? How do you find them?
Right now it's a lot of word of mouth, so we appreciate coming out for something like this, because I think that's a great way for people to know what we do. Right now it's been a lot of someone sees their neighbor gets services, or we have a network throughout different spiritual organizations or different social workers, or people who are
Recommendations
cited
from
by the
those places.
city for different things. So folks apply for one of the 2 work days, and then we have a volunteer group that goes out and assesses what's needed at the house. And our primary focus is on the safety of the homeowners, and we want to make sure that they can continue to stay in their home, live in safety and comfort and warmth, so that if they don't have to then leave their house. So
Mostly elderly people.
seniors,
Yeah, we
people
do a
with
lot
children,
of children
persons
and
with
disabled
disabilities.
families too.
One great example we had that Pete and Diane, who's a past board president, also worked on was a young man who had was quadriplegic. He'd had a terrible stroke, and it had led to him becoming a quadriplegic. And through the work of his doctors, he actually had regained mobility in his upper body, and now would be able to go to the washroom and bathe himself independently. But they didn't have a bathroom that could accommodate that. And so through volunteers and the grant writing, we were able to go in and actually put in an entire wet room. So we rocked out the whole bathroom and put in a whole tile room that had a drain, and he was then able to go in and be able to use that facility independently. And for him to have been
that's-
fully able-bodied and
life has
then
changed.
you know, being so dependent on others, and to have that little scrap of independence back,
Oh, yes.
that was just really
That's wonderful.
wonderful to see.
Well, and this happens when? It happened, the 2 dates you said?
April 20, it's the last Saturday of April,
Okay.
and I believe it's the 4th Saturday of October.
And so you have 800 people out on those days doing something wonderful for these families, these
Yes.
elderly people.
And we've this last year we did like 19 projects in one day. And
That's what I was going to ask. How many do you do in a day?
we've done up as many as 19. There's preparatory work that we do. That if there's skilled labor, then I'll organize the skilled people to come in and do all the heavy construction, so that the finish, the painting and cleanup and
Can come
grab
later.
bars and all that get done on that day.
Well, I love this. I really do. I think that it shows the buy-in by the community, because I know several companies. I think Boeing had a lot of
They continue to participate.
send a crowd of people on one of your projects,
Yeah.
and they have a good day themselves, because usually the inhabitant is there.
Yeah.
And they are so thrilled with everything. That one little lady I was mentioning had her rocking chair out in the porch and just watched people all day working
Yeah.
on her house. And you know, they saw her and they saw how excited she was, and it was just good for everybody. So
Well, it's not only good for everybody. It's not just good for the recipients. it's even a lot of times better for the people doing the work.
And
And-
that's what I mean. They just really, they're so glad they're there because they see what good this does. Well, I thank you so much. And if people want to get in touch with you, it's Rebuilding
Together
Rebuilding
Long Beach.
Together
Together.
Long
I forget
Beach.
the word together. I want to say Rebuilding in Long Beach. Rebuilding Together in Long Beach. Very good. Thank you, Pete
thank
and
you.
Mary Ann. It's wonderful to find this out.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, you bet. I've heard wonderful stories. I hope you've enjoyed them too. People really working for the city, giving their time, their efforts. So please watch next time because we're going to have 2 more really good segments.